talking about 3/5 of that NB roster that went from 10th to 6th. Trajectory would say they keep going up.
Exactly. Let's see what they can do now as we get into the final champion select of the day. Tahm Kench and Kalista, those safety ensuring champions banned away by Echo Fox. Clutch Gaming taking out the Kog'Maw and the Gangplank.
So, lesson from yesterday would be do not blind pick your top laner against Huni.
Nope.
We will see what happens here because Clutch Gaming ended up going for that red side.
Lesson from 20 minutes ago, don't let Zoe through bans. Because even if you win, it's annoying.
Well, especially when Tahm Kench is banned.
Right,
they banned it themselves. So.
Yeah, so you got to take that off the table. So Echo Fox will remove the Zoe. Clutch Gaming, one more ban to go before the picks start off. They will be targeting that Shen. Let's see what Echo Fox wants to do for this one. Goes with the sure thing. The Ezreal, we've already talked about why this is so strong. The Klepto, the mobility, the poke, the power spike in the mid game, that's locked in.
Doesn't really have too many bad matchups either. I think the only one I can really think of is Vayne, and even then Vayne just, you really have to be very close to deal your damage later in the game, and you could get poked out. But the Tristana is one that they're going to try to pick up here for Apollo. Apollo, Hakuho. This bottom lane has become kind of, people were saying they were overrated before, or underrated before. Now it's become overrated last split, and now it's like, where do they actually stand? Because
now they
have been good, and they have constantly gotten better. And Hakuho really impressed me yesterday with his teleport to mid on Ornn and the plays he was making. But I want to see Apollo kind of step up and make more plays himself.
Yeah, the teleport support Ornn play was pretty awesome to see. We'll have to see what he can do on the Braum if he can be that flashy. But on the side of Echo Fox, it's the bird for Fenix picking up the Azir, as it looks like they might be thinking about doing a little bit along the lines of what CLG was doing, picking a ranged support into the melee support that's already been locked in for a bit of extra lane power. And the Janna, nope, going with the Gnar for Huni.
They're going to say, all right, you just have to blind pick your top laner here for Huni. Picks himself the Gnar, thinking there aren't too many counters that he doesn't mind playing into, but there are some things that could be picked up here. The Azir, though, is the big one for me, because now you've picked both of your solo laners. They will be able to counter one before the bans come out. And the Azir for Fenix, that signature champion for this guy, you really can't get the multiple kills that he got out of your head when CLG dove him a few years ago.
I was really hoping to see the Zed get locked in there for Febiven, but we're not going to get to see that today. Clutch Gaming instead going to be picking up that Ryze there for themselves. We've already seen the popularity of this pick so far. Nope, really surprised to see it locked in again. Moving on to the second part of the bans, it's Alistar taken out first for Clutch Gaming. Supports and junglers going to be where they're targeting. Meanwhile, Echo Fox going to be looking to ban away junglers and top laners.
Yeah, potentially top laners, I would think. Don't push down that jungle pool too much unless you really don't want to pick Evelynn yourself and you're afraid of like LirA having the Evelynn Ryze combination that we just saw in the last game. And looks like Kha'Zix is the name of the game there for them, so maybe they will go for those junglers too.
I mean, remember, let's flash back to 2017. Let's flash back to spring where LirA was on 10th place Envy, but yet was all in a LCS jungler. That was something that a lot of people were surprised by, and it was because he played so well, and a lot of his really good plays came out on aggressive champions like that Kha'Zix, those carnivorous junglers. So they're going to ban that one away from him, as the Rengar is banned out by Clutch, keeping that one out of the hands of Dardoch. One more ban to go for Echo Fox. Who's it going to be? There's your Eve.
Yeah, the Evelynn, now that I remembered about her and saw her in the last game, I think those combinations with the Ryze root are really two very powerful ones. But then there's Jarvan also available that can kind of accomplish the same thing.
Okay, powerhouse in the top lane for solo. The thing is, though, part of what makes Ornn a powerhouse is how strong he is against melee champions. And Huni, he's not playing a melee champion.
Yeah, he's
well, not a true melee champion.
True. He's playing that Gnar in the top lane. He's going to try to bully him out, but I feel like the Ornn has a rough matchup like he does against all those ranged champions. And Huni will have the advantage, but the question is just how far will that advantage go?
Dardoch on the Zac.
Once again.
Yep, played it yesterday, gonna play it again today. The Zac attack is back as the Taric is locked in support. We've been seeing a lot of Taric with the way these games tend to go long, with the way it's all about protect the hyperscaling AD carry, the way it's all about double relic shield, you heal me, I heal you.
Yeah, when Shen, Tahm Kench, Braum, and Alistar are all taken away from you, the Taric is really the one that jumps up there as the support that you can take that still uses relic shield. There's, I believe, like 5 of them that are really prominent, and it's those 5. But then that Sejuani is the last one for LirA, because we don't really know him too much as that tank player. Somebody who really gets that front line going. He's more of an invader. I wonder what mastery, or I called it masteries.
I do the same thing all the time. I honestly do the same thing all the time. I'm still learning the new system, but give us time. Give us time. We'll get there.
Yeah, but the keystone that he'll be taking, because fleet footwork is something we saw in the last game. I didn't talk about it much, but then Aftershock seems to be a little bit more popular in the North American LCS for Sejuani.
It was the LPL, I believe. Yes. It was doing all the fleet footwork on Sejuani. And you were actually the one who explained it to me as not having attack speed runes on Sejuani feels real bad, man.
Yeah.
And the fleet footwork is not as useless as press the attack and lethal tempo on her. So you take that, you get your attack speed, you're able to get those passive stacks better, and generally just feel more coherent without feeling sluggish.
Yeah, I felt really laggy once I lost my attack speed reds in my runes. So went for the precision tree, which gives you that 18%, and then legend alacrity, which gives you even more. And then you feel really good in those fights. You have that cadence back to stack up 4 very quickly and get that stun off.
All right, now looking at these two teams, I see Echo Fox, a team that, despite the fact they've been in the LCS for a while now, has never made playoffs. On the other side, I see Clutch Gaming comprised of 3 out of 5 of those Envy members that last season, again, although they did make playoffs and take CLG to 5 games in summer, they were 10th place, dead last in spring. So both of these teams have been aboard the struggle bus in the past. Both of them now, after looking at their Game 1 performances, which again, we can't make sweeping conclusions based off of, but they both had solid first games, so this might be the time that the bus finally stops and they get off.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming though, they're gonna go to this top side of the jungle, and like you said with those, with the struggle buses and their stops, I do feel like this Echo Fox though, like the Echo Fox organization has not been in playoffs, but this is a team that actually has people who have all been in playoffs. No, all at least been to the semifinals of playoffs.
Or the finals of Worlds if you're looking at top lane.
There you go. But like, if anything, you're looking at Huni plus Adrian, and then you're looking at Fenix plus Dardoch, and saying, okay, there's 2 people here, like basically 2 people on this team have all kind of played with each other, right? It's like Huni, Adrian, Altec, and then Fenix, Dardoch. So everybody has at least played with somebody else on the team at least once.
It's a buddy system.
Right? Bring a friend.
It's just Adrian has 2 buddies.
I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and that's how Echo Fox is.
Yeah, and then we all know each other's guys because we're all on the same team now. Everybody knows the guys.
Yeah. Oh, and LirA taking the fleet footwork on the Sejuani. So yes, this actually makes you have all that attack speed plus the Hunter's Machete. So you stack up to 4 very quickly on your passive. So you end up doing auto, W, and then you auto, E-auto, and it's very fluid. But also keep in mind, the fleet footwork, if you run into somebody in the jungle and you want to do that combo, it's easier to land your W because the fleet footwork gives you a burst of movement speed. So your first auto attack, you start running at them and you have that W charging. So landing those 2 parts becomes much easier to do.
And fleet footwork, remember, is one of the very few keystones that procs outside of champions. So although it's super minuscule, you'll still get an extra little bit of healing as you make your clears and go through your jungle to keep yourself topped off. Speaking of being topped off, Febiven is far from it as he falls prey to Phoenix's Azir early on.
Yeah. I feel like playing against Phoenix's Azir, it's kind of a death sentence. We talk about signature champions. I know there was this era where everybody's playing Azir, everybody's good at it, but Phoenix's Azir is honestly just a different type of beast to play against. This guy, when it was a popular champion, people would sometimes make the mistake of not banning it against him. And now that it was in that S tier and it's fallen down just a tiny bit, I would say it's like, you know, that S minus, that A plus area where it's not the Malzahar Ryze that people are taking, it's going to fall into his hands sometimes. But is it going to become like Hugi's Aurelian Soul? Is it going to be the ban
it every single game? Right now, it's looking pretty ferocious as he's maintained perfect CS 19-6.
Yeah, but look at that. It's just pretty disgusting. He's gotten all the potions out of Febiven. Febiven just hit level 3 and he's at 250 HP. Fenix has not been touched, has not used a potion. He's 10 CS up, and he's going to get more. Blah!
That's so much damage. Febiven's actually got to be scared about getting himself killed now. I mean, we talk about stopwatches and how those stop dives, but we also talk about how they don't come online until 6 minutes.
Yeah, LirA's going to have to hover this lane and really help him out. Phoenix playing to the top half because Dardoch is over there, but he's so far up that actually ganking this is so strange as a jungler. Like, you really want to go after it, but it's like,
your mid laner's
he's not going to do anything. Your mid laner's not going to do anything. He's going to have to go back, swap for TP, and then TP in, even just to just hold in this lane against Fenix.
LirA thinking about counter jungling towards those Krugs maybe, popping over the wall with the Blast Cone. Altec and Adrian moved up a little bit now. If they keep pushing up, LirA might have the opportunity to make some sort of a move down here. Have to see Apollo and Hakuho just sort of farming up blow for blow right now with their opponents. Jumping in though. Apollo and Hakuho trying to force this one. Grabbing some good damage down onto Altec. Not quite able to find the Winter's Bite stun, but they do manage to make the explosive charge go off. They know they've got LirA hanging around, so they feel comfortable making that 2 versus 2 aggro decision like that. They're saying, okay, even if Dardoch is around, LirA's around too, and we think we can win the 3 versus 3. Remember, these 3 players are the ones that marketed themselves as a trio going into the offseason. They were like, look, we want to be on a team, and we want to be on a team together. Now let's see if that pays off. LirA coming in, looking for some stuns, looking for some damage. Altec getting himself back, though. LirA taken too low. They can't continue this. No summoners blown on the side of Fox.
That actually gives Dardoch a better back timer, so we'll see what ends up happening with that, because he bought his items. Now LirA's going to have to do that. LirA's about 15 seconds slower to be back out on the map, which gives you a little bit of a time window, but he may spot Dardoch here with the zombie ward at the Raptor.
All right, well, things were looking dire in the mid lane for Febiven there for a bit, but he has recovered. He's still behind about 10 CS, which you don't want to be, but at the same time, he doesn't have 6.
He only, in my opinion, he only recovered because Fenix had to back there. So I feel like the struggle bus is going to have another stop here.
Well, for now, he's not on the bus. He's just hanging out at the stop, waiting around on the bench, reading something on his phone.
Phoenix is the fiver, apparently. Waiting to get picked up by it again. But Huni in the top lane. Look at that CS. We're talking about Solo.
27. Now, of course, there are a few minions here for Solo to farm up, catch up a little bit. But at the same time, you can see the way these lanes are going. Fenix is controlling his lane. Huni is controlling his lane, which then allows Dardoch more room to move around, more room to potentially look for opportunities, while LirA's always got to be careful. I know my lanes can't roam to back me up. Always got to be looking out.
Yeah. Dardoch on that top side. Solo bought the Glacial Shroud just now. Is it in a diveable position? Is the question. They see Dardoch farming here.
Now what's going on? Dardoch stealing away the Krugs. Good ward placement to make sure that they're keeping track of that. And that's kind of what I was alluding to, right? When you look at the fact that your laners are getting shoved in like that, you expect the enemy jungler to make some forward moves, so you want to place those wards to keep track of him. And now under the turret, Solo, remember he's got the Ignite right now.
He literally just hit level 6. Dardoch's going to try to take aggro. He has stopwatch.
Right, Dardoch goes in, Gnar slammed into the wall. The CC is too much. The first blood over to Huni.
Wham, bam, they take him down in that top lane. Oh my god. They just demolished him. Solo saw that coming a mile away, and he doesn't have stopwatch to deal with it or anything of that sort. And Huni played it perfectly with making sure that he's not proccing his Mega Gnar just yet, and then he goes in for it. And they take down Solo before he can even react. He can't even use his ultimate. He had just hit level 6 and wasn't able to dissuade that dive. And look at that CS advantage. Huni is a monster. He is an absolute beast. And seeing him back in the North American LCS, it's really refreshing.
All right, let's take a look at how this dive happened one more time here.
You see him, and then you see him again, but this time he's really straight at you. And Huni, there he transforms. Now he's going to flash, knock him into the wall for no reaction, and they're just going to pick him up without even having to use Dardoch's stopwatch or passive to do so.
Meanwhile, Clutch Gaming, going for that first Mountain Drake. Pretty early one. Honestly, if you're looking at the game clock, you're not even 7.5 minutes in, so they're grabbing that early neutral objective for themselves.
It's because they got to take control of that bottom half jungle. Whenever you're doing something in League of Legends, you're trading sides, right? As soon as you see Dardoch topside make that dive, boom, light up that bottom side like a light bright and see all those red wards that are in the jungle of Echo Fox's southern side. That allows them to get that Drake, and that's what they end up trading for that top lane turret dive.
They go right back into their spots, farming up. Very even CS between the bottom laners. The most even on the map, actually. You've still got that small lead for Fenix there in the mid lane. The mounting larger and larger lead in the top lane for Huni. As mid lane gang from Dardoch going to be finding its way onto Febiven. There comes your Lutch. Bounce, pulling him back
no,
with the ball.
Get the ulti!
He couldn't get himself out with the ulti in time. A misclick from Febiven ends up getting him killed, and Fenix cashes in.
I don't blame him for that at all, because that actually looked like Echo Fox were saying, we're going to put this guy in the bounce house, and he's not going to be able to move, and that's going to make you flub your inputs very highly, because you don't really have control of your character for a very long time, and as soon as you do, he was almost dead anyway.
Well played from Echo Fox, making these moves early in both solo lanes. We talked about the successes of the laners. We talked about how that opened up opportunity for Dardoch, and that opportunity is paying off. Dardoch has always been such a question mark in terms of, is he going to work out with this team? He's currently got quite a resume of playing on multiple different teams, and none of those have worked out for him in the long term. Could this Echo Fox team finally be the one that Dardoch can find that success with? Because so far, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, Dardoch, had a realization in the offseason that people weren't jumping to contact him and pick up his contract. But look at this, they're just going to chase Solo down. He has Flash, he has his ultimate. Is this going to be a case where Huni, he is just chewing this rookie up and spitting him out? That is a top lane. Dardoch got all the gold.
All right, so Dardoch takes all the gold. He's like, all right, look, I need my payday. I came up and helped you. This is what my tax is. That's how you really tax your laner right there. You take the first turret gold.
Dardoch has more gold than his top laner right now by 200.
That's
He's got the most on his team.
You tax the top laner so hard, you take more gold. But looking at Huni, okay, gold tax aside, looking at Huni, coming back to North America from his time on SKT, like he's clearly learned the ways. He's got it down already. He knows the way,
brother.
He knows the way. But coming back to North America, this guy was on SKT, the premier esports team in the premier esports region. When you look at Huni on a team like SKT and the players he was with, Huni was the question mark, right? Can this guy step up and perform with everybody else? When you go back to North America, when you look at Huni on the squad he's on now with Echo Fox, Huni goes from the question mark to the exclamation point. You're like, holy cow, we got Huni, we got the SKT player, we got the guy who was doing so well, but now, can he get himself away? The Ornn Horn gets founded. Glacial Prison not quite going to find its exact mark, but it still gets the slow into the CC, and right as I praise Huni, Clutch Gaming shuts him down.
You did it! The caster curse is
Caster
well
cursed him all the way back to the spawn platform. We'll see in 20 seconds.
Yeah, but this is Huni's style where he's just going to push up that top lane to the tier 2 relentlessly and then find opportunities to collapse on mid. But speaking of collapsing on mid, hit him, hit the turret, boom,
Slap them together. Oh, let's bounce. Not quite going to be finding it this time around. Febiven says, nope, not repeating this. Still has bad memories from the last time, flashing away from that one. But Fenix maintains control. 20 CS lead there in the mid lane, 30 CS lead in the top lane. Pretty even here on the bottom side, which is what Clutch needs. Like, you've got to have at least one of these lanes holding on, and especially if it's going to be your hyper carry, that's fine.
Yeah, and we saw Apollo and Hakuho have really good laning phase. We were looking at like CSD and stuff like that last year, and Apollo was near the top for a very large portion of the split, like number 1 or 2. And it was surprising, but in this matchup here, where he will have pressure on him, he is still doing incredibly well. But there hasn't been any jungle attention from really either side on that bottom part of the map. It's been Dardoch playing to those top lanes. This feels a little bit like Immortals in 2016 in the beginning. Playing to that top side, playing to your solo laners, and leaving somebody like Adrian, back when it was Adrian Wild Turtle, on an island by themselves, right? You had the sustained support. It's like, all right, nothing's going to happen down here.
Give that one a couple.
What is going on?
Give that one a couple of question mark pings. It's fine. It'll work itself out. Dardoch breaks his stopwatch on accident. You ever been walking down the sidewalk, something falls out of your pocket and it breaks on the ground? That's what happened to Dardoch. He broke his watch.
And
feels bad, man.
phones break so easily nowadays.
They really do. You got to be careful.
I mean, I assume that's Dardoch being like, Huni, I'm sorry about the turret here. Boom.
I took your gold. Let me give you a gold sack back as a present. But that could end up being a problem later. We'll have to see if there's any moment where I'm like, man, a stopwatch could have really changed the outcome of this fight here. And if it did, then we'll come back to this moment. But for now, not really that big of a worry. 120 CS for your Gnar, 88 on the Ornn. Gnar's already got Black Cleaver. Ornn has a Catalyst of Aeons and a Glacial Shroud. That's not really a very good comparison between the money on these two guys. The Gnar, very, very strong. Plus, we know he's just so oppressive in this matchup. We talked in Champion Select. Ornn's strength is the fact that he's so effective at trading against melee champions. Stuff that he can keep at bay from himself, utilizing the power of his knockback and his bellows breath. Gnar doesn't care about that. Gnar's just going to keep throwing boomerangs at him. He's going to throw auto attacks at him. It just doesn't matter that much. So Huni's in a really fantastic spot right now. Fenix in the mid lane has the Stinger already built for himself. Nashor's Tooth and Mercury Treads now completed. Isn't that the build on Azir these days?
Nashor's Tooth? Yeah, Nashor's Tooth usually, if you want... Oh, that was
he
really
got
good.
the hop. Solo tries to knock him away. The auto attacks continue. Not quite able to go the full distance, though. Meanwhile, blue turret destroyed. It's not a real turret. It's kind of the pseudo Azir turret, the Sun Disc, dropping there in the mid lane where it was constructed on top of the ruins of the former Clutch mid turret. It's 2-1 in terms of those objectives. So that's part of the reason why you've got this nearly 4,000 gold lead from the side of EchoFox, only 13 minutes in. Stun onto Apollo, but there's your Tristana CC buffer.
Yeah, they have that top turret and that mid turret down, and Clutch Gaming only really able to get that neutral Drake as their one objective back. And this bottom turret, you have to feel like that's where they're going to go next here. They might swap it up. They'll bring Azir down. And Fenix, you were asking about that build. I feel like if you're asking anybody about builds, I'm just going to defer to Fenix on the Azir build here.
If Fenix did it, it's right.
Exactly.
All right, because I've seen a couple of variations, right? You see this, and then sometimes you see the Morellos with the Surfer Greaves. So, as somebody who has only ever played Azir in an ARAM and threw my ult backwards, I'm not very well versed in the champion.
Yeah, I like this though because in the version where you go Morellos and Zerker Greaves, you don't get the tenacity, and the tenacity is the biggest thing here up against the Sejuani and a Ryze.
And an Ornn.
And an Ornn. And you don't want to be blowing your cleanse on something just willy-nilly if you can actually survive it and get away, right?
Fair enough point. Without the attack speed on the boots then, you would need the Nashor's Tooth, but Altec just hanging out. He knows that he can't move up right now. His support's not nearby to support him, so he's just got to wait for that minion wave to collide into him instead. Hakuho with that demolish that we were talking about, some supports potentially taking, as Clutch Gaming now getting themselves a little bit of extra global gold into the pockets, 3,500 gold down. We saw Dardoch solo the second elemental Drake of the game, the Ocean Drake, just a minute ago. Now he's moving on to the Rift Herald, but he will have some help with this one. Neutral objective game going the way of EchoFox as we move into the mid-game. Laning starting to end slowly but surely as the first turrets do get taken down. Fenix moving back towards that mid lane. Rift Herald, a lot of times, Zirene, we see it used to take down something in mid, but mid's already gone. There's a lot of possibilities.
Tier 2, let's go.
Tier 2.
I feel like
even deeper.
Yeah, I feel like if you get the tier 2, it helps you get that bottom tier 1 a little bit easier. Versus if you use it on bottom, that doesn't really help you get the tier 2 mid as easily. So ideally, you'd want to be able to get that tier 2 in the middle lane, but they may go for just the bottom side because it's kind of the progression that you would naturally use or naturally go through for taking those outers and finally getting in. But we'll see what happens here, but I am just fixated on this Azir from Fenix. He is at 187 CS at 16 minutes, and just seeing his Azir after it's been so long, right? He played in Challenger for a bit. This is really also another bit. I feel like EchoFox is a bit refreshing for me to watch because it's like Huni's back in the LCS. You have Fenix here on Azir. It's kind of a blast from the past.
Altec and Adrian that were making waves in their own right towards the end of Summer Split in 2017. And then Dardoch, the potential redemption story. There's a lot of cool things that could happen with this EchoFox roster. And right now, it's working out. Granted, we are 1.5 games in.
They have not lost yet.
They have not lost the game.
That's
Once
where
they
like,
lose, that's when we start being like, oh, okay, I don't know what's going on anymore. That's when you jump ship.
That's probably have like a little thing in their house. It's like break glass in case of loss.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when you start worrying about, well, what about the momentum slip, right? I mean, Huni was the one talking about the momentum slip. But in all seriousness, though, Huni did talk about how momentum would be a big factor for this team.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to see if they can manage to keep that going. Coming out of week 1, you mentioned at the beginning of this game, Zirene, one of these two teams, which were both mostly projected to be towards the middle of the pack, is going to go 2-0.
Yeah. Look at this Huni taking this red buff, or at least fighting for it, whereas Rift Herald's going down on the bottom side.
Wants to get it.
Oh, reset.
Patient's going to reset. Huni goes over the wall, but 1 versus 3 is not really a fight that Gnar is going to do a lot.
Well, now they get to push bottom lane, and Fenix is actually going back to mid, so he doesn't get pushed out. I feel like he's not going to find too much here, and he's actually putting himself in a compromising position because the Sejuani's behind him.
Shelly has a hard life, man.
Yeah.
You ever notice that? You get spawned, you ram your head into a big building one time, and then people just shoot you to death while your friends all run away.
I mean, it's even worse because she spawns, and then
you got to beat her
people
up.
come up and kill her.
Yeah.
You then
beat her on her, and then she's supposed to help you, but then you just abandon her to take the turret.
Yeah.
Then she conks her head on. Very unlucky life of a Rift Void creature. But she did serve her purpose. She did get that turret bottom side. EchoFox now up 3-1 lead in terms of that.
Is it really that bad of a life if you fulfill your life purpose?
Shelly died a hero.
There you go.
F to pay respect. Trinity Force completed. Muramana fully evolved on Altec's Ezreal.
Ooh.
Now, the fight in the enemy jungle that they're trying to force. EchoFox wanting to make the moves here, but the disengage from Clutch Gaming. is enough to keep their jungler alive.
And that was a teleport from Huni to potentially back them up. And, you know, kind of icing on the cake here is Dardoch actually did get the red buff at the end of the day. He was able to smack them together, pick that one up for himself, and now he's going to the other side of the jungle, where his team is already looking at trying to at least de-ward the area.
I like Dardoch's itemization choice here too. Going for the Spirit Visage second helps boost that innate healing that Zach has, as well as the fact that the enemy solo laners as well as the enemy jungler are all AP damage.
Yeah, you're against 3 AP, and then the bottom lane doesn't really have much going on just yet, so you're in a pretty good spot. You can just build HP for now and then have that MR on top of it.
I mean, even the bottom lane, the one item he has is a Static Shiv, which procs magic damage. Yeah. All right, I like it. Pushing up mid lane, Echo Fox. They've got the momentum control. They've got the tempo. What can they do with it? 4,000 gold lead. LirA moving into the top side. Once again, trying to punish Huni here. Manages to land some slows, but now they've got to be careful because
you gotta stun him. You gotta stun him.
Just 1 versus 2 here.
Yeah, it's like, please stun him.
Trying to get a little bit more damage.
Whoa!
Dardoch going in. Comes in over the wall with the elastic slingshot. Fenix tries to get the ultimate back. Doesn't quite find it. Still able to grab the kill. It's 2 for 0. Echo Fox. They go right back for the turret. Clutch cannot rotate in time. They're going to be able to bring that mid laner right back into their clutches. They take him down, and now it's bot lane standing alone. Huni marching relentlessly forward as the tier 2 falls.
And that fight was pretty much the story of the game. The bottom lane walks away without really getting a piece of the fight with 0-0-0 score lines, and the rest of the map is just getting pummeled in CS in these fights. And now the Baron is up, and they're ready to turn on.
They're like, you know what? We're not going to wait. Baron's already been alive for 33 seconds too long. Let's go ahead and get him off the map. Killing big purple void creatures is our thing. Let's do it again. Baron burns down. Not even 21 minutes into the game. Echo Fox, 8,000 gold up.
Yeah, this was a fight that Huni's just like, come here, everybody come. Boom, Adrian is already on his way. Dardoch up here too, and they're all ready to reinforce. Dardoch jumps in, and then they take out LirA. And right here, Fenix, unstoppable by the way. Looks like he doesn't quite get him, maybe, but the W, the Bellows Breath, potentially stop that knockback. It's hard to tell because he's right on that edge.
Now the Mountain Drake falls for Clutch Gaming. They managed to at least do a little bit of recovery after they lost the big neutral objective. They can at least grab the smaller one for themselves, make it so their opponents aren't just taking everything on the map. But now the great defense begins, Zirene. You're 8,000 gold down. It's only 21 minutes into the game. Your opponents are incredibly strong, and you somehow have to weather this Baron buff storm for 2.5 more minutes.
Yeah,
it's a tall order.
You're 9,000 gold up. They have an Azir that's going to be able to poke. They have a lot of engage, and they have the Taric, which when the ultimate is back up, he's able to just throw the Cosmic Radiance down on the Zac as he enters, and Zac may bring you back some presence with the ultimate.
And let's not forget about the fact that Zac has a Guardian Angel built into his kit. He hasn't died at all. He hasn't had the passive proc at all.
Sold the stopwatch.
If he wants, yeah, he got breaking the stopwatch in the jungle, hasn't had a consequence at all. If he wants to make a dive, he's very capable of doing so. Clutch has to be so very aware of exactly what kind of a situation they could find themselves in.
And Fox, this seems to be a little bit more of the style they're gravitating towards. Yesterday, they only had a 29-minute game. It's 22 in this one, and there's the Cosmic Radiance.
Oh! Flank coming in. Altec can't be saved in time. Taking out that enemy AD carry is huge. Hakuho gonna be taking a lot of damage. Huni coming into the fight. Emperor's Divide swoops them back. Fenix grabbing himself a killing spree with that one. LirA gonna be taken low. Still 4 alive on the side of Echo Fox. But it's going to be Dardoch who gets that passive popped. LirA underneath the turret, still hanging on. Clutch will not find anything else, but going 1 for 2 against a Baroned up team that's 9,000 gold ahead is absolutely what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best you could hope for in that situation. And the 2 kills go over to Apollo, who has not been put behind and is still doing well in this game. Just seeing... Felt like Huni really didn't get to do a whole lot in that fight. He jumped in, and then it looked like he was stunned for basically a millennia. He was there for so long. We'll see here. Altec flashes away, but he still gets picked up by Apollo's ultimate just coming through. And then Huni jumps in, transforms, stunned, rooted, airborne, stunned. Yeah, got to do almost nothing there, and then ultied right at the end.
An incredible CC chain to prevent what could have been potentially a Mega Gnar into an Azir wall that would have almost ended the game.
Yeah, would have been a disaster there. But that's the chain stunning there from having the Sejuani and the Braum on the same team. We used to talk about this as a big level 1 combination. We saw them try to invade level 1 and try to make use of it with the double stuns. But there we finally see it have some work, because this is kind of the first time we've seen Hakuho alongside LirA outside of the bottom lane.
Clutch, down 2 kills, but in this particular game of League of Legends, that means over 8,000 gold still. Despite that fight win, they've got a lot of work to do if they want to come back into this one. They did manage to put the brakes on that Baron push, though. That's what's really important. Slowing that down, removing that advantage from your opponents. Now they've got some breathing room, a little bit more time to scale, try to farm. Get Apollo, especially, to a point where he can make things happen in this game. He's got the Infinity Edge, he's got the Shiv. Needs one more item to really hit that power spike.
Yeah, Apollo's really the guy I have my eyes on here, because of the fact that, you know, when you're looking at the scaling of this team composition, you will have the Ornn scale pretty well, and if it does get to 6 items, he'll contribute with that extra forge item. But Apollo is really the one who's packing that punch. The Ryze will come in handy for rotational play with the party portal into other areas.
Party portal, I like
yeah,
that.
it's when 5 people get in, it's time for Baron. It's the party portal.
All right, Altec jumping forward to find some poke onto Hakuho. Now the real difficult work begins, because for Clutch, you've got to defend this inhibitor with nothing helping you. This is essentially a fight in open ground.
LirA's on the flank here.
Hakuho's half dead, and getting deader as more poke comes in. You blow the horn, they run for horn. Not quite today, though. Dardoch bouncing himself away. Cosmic Radiance going to be used. Ulti's popped defensively from Echo Fox.
Yeah, I feel like this Azir is just so threatening. They don't want to engage on Fenix. He has that break point where he's at 2.5, almost 3 items here, but he's still so powerful that he just gets to kind of impose his will on the game with the range that he has with the soldiers.
Mid lane inhibitor down, provides extra pressure now for all of Echo Fox. They can concentrate on the side lanes. They can go for the Ocean Drake in 90 seconds. They can go for the Baron here in 2 minutes. Things are still going their way. They just have to make sure that they close it out cleanly. They don't want any more mistakes like what happened underneath that mid lane inhibitor. Granted, they would have to make quite a few of them to throw a lead this big. But now you've got the Sterix, the Warmog, the Black Cleaver on the Gnar. Your Zac working on getting some armor itemization to deal with that Tristana that's starting to farm up some items. You already mentioned the Azir power spike as Ezreal's coming into more damage of his own. Blade of the Ruined King just now picked up. As I say it, this team is frightening Zirene.
Yeah, and it's even getting scarier as it goes. The Dark Seal for Fenix with the 7 stacks, because he's pretty much been untouched this game. And I wonder what he's going to end up doing to affect this, because Fenix on his Azir, we know him as somebody who knows the difference of when he should be diving in and Azir-secking somebody, and when he should be just in the back kind of commanding the troops, firing away.
1 minute till Baron. Echo Fox not really concerned about that Ocean Drake at all. Much more concerned with setting up vision early, which is exactly what you want to see. The time to ward for Baron isn't when Baron spawns. It's a minute or 2 before Baron. Set everything up. Be ready to pull that trigger as soon as you see anybody out of position.
Yeah, but here's the thing is you have to worry about that mid lane with the super minions if you're Clutch Gaming, and you have to worry about Huni on the bottom side, who is about to have his teleport back up. He'll have it up right before Baron spawns. So he's in a good spot here, and he's still beating solo in that side lane. 70 CS up right now.
Sundisk manufactured on the top lane tier 2 of Clutch Gaming.
This
That's
gives you
going to be
pressure
a
in every
base of
lane.
operations. As now here comes your party portal, but over the wall goes Huni. The Ram comes in, flash over the wall from Solo, looking to take him down. Mega Gnar trying to keep his opponent
Engage
away.
top
Huni
side.
flashing out. Meanwhile, top side, they're looking to make moves. They know there's 2 bottom. No minions to help them remove the backdoor protections on that turret means they have to back away, but Huni lives.
Yeah, but he gets the flash out of both Ornn and Febiven there. Multiple summoners actually from Febiven who really wanted to kill him. It's like, Fnatic, man, remember the days.
Remember the days. Blast from the past, but sadly the blast is not strong enough to take down the very fed Gnar. And now the push continues here on the top side.
And his
We
turret is
talked
still low.
about Fenix imposing his will on the game, and he only needs a couple more auto attacks to do just that as Huni goes for the Ocean Drake.
Yeah, Huni knows what to do with space. We saw him threaten the red buff earlier. We saw him go and try to extend for a tier 2 and got caught. But he really does just kind of push the limits and say, hey, if you need 2 people to answer me, then I'm going to try to put you in a bad situation and lose every time. They got 3 summoner spells on that one, and then they also got damage on that top turret, and then they got the Ocean Drake afterwards. So he's really just kind of doing a win more type of play. When you're already ahead, you just keep pushing that advantage with the split pusher.
And honestly, if you're winning, why wouldn't you want to win more? It's the play that's working out for this team, right? Huni constantly providing that pressure. That's what we're talking about with this guy being the exclamation point. He's where he needs to be. He's this constant issue. And if you're clutch, this is so hard to deal with because you've got that in bottom lane, you've got the down inhibitor in mid, and the pressure on Baron.
And he has such an interesting build here too, because a lot of times we saw Frozen Mallet, right? Well, it looks like he has the Black Cleaver into the Sterix for surviving Burst if he does get Burst down. Also gives him that extra damage. And then he has Warmogs. So when he trades against Solo, who doesn't have his Warmogs yet, that damage will stick, and then he'll be able to back off and continue to split push. But look at this here. Potentially diving in. LirA's pretty far away.
Baron burns so quickly. True shot barrage over the wall. As now Hakuho may find himself caught out. Glacial Fissure has to be used to disengage this one. Baron goes the way of Echo Fox.
That was really interesting too, because Clutch Gaming, they were backing off from Fox diving in, which looked like it was a 4v5 because Huni's splitting bottom side.
Huni, now with those Baron buffed minions, will be able to take down this tier 2. Build that turret lead up to 7-1. Clutch just struggling to find any impact on the enemy structures at all, while Echo Fox keeps dismantling these things. They've got a barely standing inhibitor turret to take down on the top side. Full HP on the bottom side, granted. And that mid lane inhibitor is still down. Once that respawns, it'll be easy pickings. Echo Fox just has to make sure, again, that they don't commit the same kind of mistake they did last time. They got a little bit over-eager, they went too hard, but now they know what their limits are, they know how fed their champions are. I'm looking to see them close this out. If Echo Fox is going to be a top contender, we heard from Huni after his interview yesterday, he said, I hope to make playoffs at a minimum. I really just want to win in ALCS. If you want to win in ALCS, you have to be able to close a game from a position like this.
Yeah, and I know that he's serious about that because this is a guy that spent time in Europe, won the EU LCS, came here, it slipped through his fingers twice.
Yeah.
Where they were the #1 team during the regular season and were looking at playoffs with a very dominant force, set a record at the time.
They were combined 33-3 in the 2016 splits combined, but they weren't able to win.
Yeah, so which is ridiculous.
Got to redeem yourself.
Then he went to Korea and Spring Split was really good for him. Ended up winning the Spring Split with SKT. So he hasn't won NA. It's the only place that
this is what you get. Yeah,
he hasn't won it.
Gotta win NA. That's the final trophy. Europe, Korea, all those other places, that's second banana. You gotta win NA. Grand Finals at Worlds don't matter. Hadn't won NA.
Oh, that's what we tell ourselves.
That's what we do tell ourselves, Zirene, all the time. But pushing onto the top lane, tier 3 turret, they won't quite be able to take this bottom down. But Huni, bottom side, Solo's not gonna be able to stop this. One more auto attack does it.
Yeah. Huni has himself a red buff as well, knows what to do with it, and he's going to keep pressuring it. They have all of this pressure that just slow bleeds these turrets away from Clutch Gaming, and they're just going to slowly chunk away at them. And really, if you're Clutch Gaming, how do you actually start these fights? You either send somebody in with Febiven's ultimate, Braum tries to make a hero play, or you even have the Sejuani try to do something. Because if you're pulling Solo up there, he can't answer Huni on the bottom side. The team will try to disengage, use Taric ultimate.
I think this is your
trigger pull right here.
Zac ulti being used and then canceled. Cosmic Radiance channeled. There
Huni
comes
on the
your
back.
attack. Huni coming in from the side, looking to maybe
"Hey,
take down
Febby!"
that enemy mid laner. Can he find the damage? The CC is there, but they don't quite have the burst. Stopwatch finally going to be used. They grab the kill onto Solo and continue to press the assault. Can they find more? Hakuho goes down for the double kill over to Altec, as this should be the game-ending push. 5 alive for Echo Fox. Moving on to the Nexus turrets themselves. Apollo's still there, Febiven's still there, LirA still there, but they don't have the tools, they don't have the gold, they don't have the items. The AD carry falls. Fenix grabbing the kill for himself. 4-0-3 on this mid laner. And now Echo Fox will open up their 2018 NA LCS season with a 2-0 start.
The momentum has begun for the Echo Fox roster. This team, 29-minute win yesterday, 33-minute win on the dot here today.
Awesome showing from these guys. Huni with the split pushing, with the domination in the top lane. From the very beginning, from literally the first minion wave, we're watching Fenix do the same thing in the mid lane. Dardoch taking advantage of those leads in a way that he needed to further get his teammates ahead. And bottom lane, Steadfast knowing that they're not the focus this time, made sure that they were still going to be relevant into the mid game. You had a lot of gold onto Altec. All of this individual talent and then coming together as a team as well, saying go for Baron 20 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, securing that for themselves. Echo Fox is playing like an Echo Fox that we have not seen before.
And it's just insane because Huni had so much pressure in the top lane, was up almost double the CS at around the 60 CS mark. But then that mid lane that we were watching, Fenix, it looked like Febiven did not get to play League of Legends at all.
No. Febiven was not having an enjoyable game. He was constantly under his turret, always being harassed, never able to farm. And the one time it looked like anything might happen, Dardoch just swoops in. He's like, oh, hey, here's a kill from my mid laner, sorry.
Yeah, and even then, like Dardoch, he camped that top lane. He went to the mid lane as well. He kind of played, and like I said, it was reminiscent of the Immortal style when Huni was on that team, and so were Adrian, where you can play to that top half of that map. That top kind of create a triangle between the jungler and then the top laner and the mid laner, and then your bottom lane, Altec and Adrian, they'll just play neutral, right? They will play disengage if they get engaged on or camped, and then you can play towards Huni and Fenix, who are both showing that they have a lot of power. And this roster, there were question marks about things like attitude and if they'll gel and stuff like that. But like I said, these guys, some of them have worked with each other, right? At least one person, at least everybody's worked with another person on the team. So they have that buddy. And right now, it's just showing the mechanics are coming through, and the team play is something that they have found ways to work with that triangle and with having everybody do their job. So it's working right now.
Yeah, the job definitely got done in that game, but we're now going to send it over to Avli and the Echo Fox jungler.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Dardoch. Congratulations on the victory in that game. And I wanted to say you had some amazing plays with Fenix. And earlier on, you said that you originally wanted to play with Echo Fox just to play with Fenix. Can you tell me a little bit about that relationship?
Well, me and Fenix have been really close since we played. We were together for a full year on TL. And after we just kind of, because we did so well on TL together, in my rookie split, I just always have been most comfortable playing with Fenix, and our relationship's always been really good. So yeah, coming back together with him is really comfortable.
What makes the relationship so comfortable?
Fenix has like a really good, because I came in as a rookie on TL, he has a really good understanding of how I want to play the game because I had to learn from the ground up alongside him. So yeah, he just gets me as a player. He knows exactly what I'm going to do. We rarely have to communicate any of these things. It's just like, I'm going to gank mid, and then we just play it out. Yeah, we just have a lot of synergy.
So Echo Fox is the 4th team that you've played with in the NALCS. What makes this team different from the rest?
I mean, we're hella good.
There you go. Anything else to add to that?
I mean, I've never played with a world champ before, so that's probably the, or world finalist before, so that is probably the biggest difference. My bad. Too soon.
What?
Too soon.
Well, besides that, how are you meshing with everyone in the team? How is the team atmosphere?
Yeah, everyone gets along fine. I mean, everybody says we have strong personalities, but we really just kind of think we're a little better at the game than everybody else. So as long as we just show that we are, I think there's no problems.
It sounds like everyone at Echo Fox is just fitting in just fine. For you, how is Echo Fox going to help you become a better player and better person?
Actually, I have a lot of conversations with our president, Jared Jeffries, and he kind of guides me with a ton of NBA wisdom and working with a lot of people who he claims have worse ego problems than me. So he he's helping me a lot, actually. My relationship with him is helping me grow a lot.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the people calling ego problems? Would you like to address it in any way?
I mean, yeah, I think I'm pretty good. Our whole team thinks we're pretty good, but I think we can back it up.
Perfect. Well, to back it up, you play Cloud9 and TSM next week. How are you going to prepare for that?
We're just going to head into practice just like we did this week.
Perfect. Well, I wish you the best of luck in those next week's games. Thank you so much for this interview, and we're going to throw it back to the desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. A lot of focus there from Dardoch in that interview. Seems to have overlooked the fact that he played with Piglet a couple years ago. So there is a world champion on that roster of players that he's played with.
But a world second-place finisher never has he played with.
Never has he played with.
I don't think.
All right, but hey, that brings us beautifully into what I want to talk about here for Echo Fox, which is that finishing on a 2-0 week, let's remind ourselves that the majority of the time when the name or the team org Echo Fox is uttered, most people jump to the disaster cases, where it is that this team will fall flat or implode, and at what point will things go bad. Now I want to talk about the success cases. Yep. I mean, how good can this team be if to Dardoch's words, they just go back in and start practicing and keep pushing forward.
I mean, I would say you can kind of compare them to Dignitas from last season, which finished 4th, where they had Altec and Adrian again, and then you have a better mid-jungle duo, I would say, in Fenix and Dardoch instead of Shrimp and Keen, and then you have Huni as your Korean import top laner, who has way more success overseas than we've ever seen out of Someday, so you can say, why wouldn't these guys finish top 4 when things are going well?
And also, when we were watching that game, Huni died a couple times in a soul lane. They had a weird fight mid lane, and then we looked up, and they were up 8,000 gold, and that actually reminded me of Immortals from 2016 when Huni was first on that team. Tons of pressure top lane, had Adrian as support, those were the similarities, and then Dardoch, in this situation, would have been playing the role of Rainover, where he's just snowballing his winning lanes for pressure.
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You do that 10 times.
10,000 gold.
Yeah, 10 steps ahead.
Right, yeah, no, and it is. It's funny to kind of see leads built in that way because when you watch it anecdotally, the game feels closer. But then to your point, Jack, you take a look at the scoreboard, and all of a sudden, that gold lead has ballooned. But let's focus in on these 2 mid laners, and in particular, Fenix in the mid lane. Getting the Azir this time around, I want to remind people, this is the Azir god of old NALCS. He's back.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people are like, oh man, if you don't put Fenix on Azir, he's average. But when he gets Azir, right, this was the quadra kill moment he had against COG back when he was on Team Liquid. And here, all-time in the NALCS, he's 13-5, make that 14-5. So he played really strong against Febiven.
And even that point about, you know, oh, he needs Azir to do well. I mean, there was a season or split where he led the world in CS per minute. Like, this guy is a machine in the lane and farming if you let him do that. And here, he looked completely at home, completely comfortable on Azir, like you said.
Yeah,
his signature champion.
I mean, I think it is interesting, too, to kind of hear, or rather, reference what the casters were talking about. A lot of it right now seems to be the mechanical prowess of these individuals. We just kind of ran through it. Hey, this looks like a top 4 roster from an individualistic standpoint. Now it's about eliminating those mistakes. Hey, Huni, maybe we shouldn't try and die 2 or 3 times after we've built that lead. Maybe we should make sure that we're pushing to end on a mid lane push and not giving 2 kills and an opening back for the game.
I mean, that over-aggressive style actually doesn't even usually come back and bite you in the butt during a best-of-1 regular season. It's when you get to the playoffs and people start playing more conservative that you get more concerned. So if this is their play style for the regular season, you can expect them to do well. I mean, like Jad was saying, this reminds you of Immortals where they were just super aggressive all the time.
Yeah, and we have to obviously take this with a huge grain of salt as you do every result in the first week. They just defeated Clutch Gaming, they defeated FlyQuest, they played TSM and C9. When you just look at the brands and the names there, you expect next week to be harder, but it's a new age, dude. Like those endemics right there, TSM, COG, 0-2, really crazy first week.
Yeah, everything's been shaken up. And then just to hit the losing team here in this matchup, Clutch Gaming, real quickly, we were talking at the beginning of the day, you know, to some degree an overreaction, best jungle mid duo in LirA and Febiven. How do we feel this team performed today as compared to yesterday?
I mean, for LirA, I still think he looked pretty good. He was able to help, hopefully, stabilize the top side, but the problem was his mid was getting smashed as well for the most part. So Febiven definitely underperformed for what we were hyping him up to be after 1 game, but for the most part, LirA still looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I'm similar in that vein. They did not have much pressure, and Dardoch was ganking from Febiven's jungle when he made that play. So I think both LirA and Febiven did not live up to that name.
Time to look at some individuals. Here are this week's OP5, each role's top performer over the week of play. They are Huni, Dardoch, Jensen, Doublelift, and Afroboom.
Yeah, you got a bunch of players right here from 2-0 teams. We have 4 2-0 teams on the first week. We just got to see Huni and Dardoch, who we zeroed in on a little bit. The top jungle synergy they had was incredibly strong. Huni was making his own advantages, but Dardoch was the one turret diving, getting turret aggro, and really allowing Huni to get even further ahead.
I'll be curious to see how much he can help grow this team with the experience that he garnered overseas in the LCK as well as on the world stage. Can he help grow some of these younger, moldable players?
I think that's one of the things that probably gets overlooked with Huni is just he's such a personality. He's such a crazy playstyle that like when you talk about him, those are the things you naturally want to talk about. But behind the scenes, you've never heard really anything that bad about him other than like, sometimes he plays Huni's champions. And like, to be fair, that's actually really important that he actually is not crazy. He's not out of control. He's not causing drama in the team house. He is, for all intents and purposes, a great team player.
Brings us to his teammate, Dardoch, Jad. This guy has been one of the most volatile players in the entirety of the NALCS, but so far, things are looking good.
Yeah, 2 Zac games. His Zac is super good with winning lanes. We got to see him on other stuff, but that's what OP5 is. It's based on the 2 games he played, and
Right.
his 2 Zac games were really, really strong.
All right, let's move to the mid lane. We find C9 Jensen. Zillion picked to counter on day 1. Solid performance here in day 2 as well.
Yeah, had a tough matchup into the Zoe. High looked really good on that. Was able to get through that for the most part untouched. And then, like you said, that Zillion game was monumental in terms of like keeping C9 in that game when everything was going wrong in the top side of the map.
Zillion game's so good into Malzahar, Malzahar, that Hui's like, I can do that. Doesn't do it when he plays the Zillion as well. So definitely some player skill involved in that Zillion versus Malzahar matchup that Jensen had. That was huge. And then, as you said, the Ryze game pretty good, but it's the Zillion game that really stood out.
Move to the bottom half of the map. In the AD carry position, we find Doublelift on Team Liquid. He got revenge over TSM this week.
Looked like he was playing a little angry almost, you could say. Very aggressive player all the time, but especially this weekend, was able to take out huge leads for himself in the bot lane, both games, once on Kalista, once against Kalista.
Yeah, it looks like Doublelift is stepping up as a leader here for Team Liquid. He is actually so experienced in the competitive scene. He was trying to play professionally before a professional scene existed, quite honestly. Very experienced now, and off to a great start with his new team. Didn't die, which I'm just seeing with that graphic.
And 96% kill participation.
Hey, what do you think Team Liquid likes to play
That's
through?
amazing. 80 carries almost, I mean, on average, like 70% is your kill participation.
Right. Hardly sustainable. And you have to imagine that teams are going to start looking at the bot
less
lane as
than this will be
something to
considered a
attack.
disappointment.
He's doing worse than week 1.
Oh no, we're getting to a dangerous place there. Finally, in the support position, it's Alframu, 100 Thieves support.
And someone that I think a lot of people were kind of speaking down on over the course of the overseason, that he was getting replaced by Biofrost, and CLG fans were like, great, we got a mechanical upgrade, and you start to lose focus of exactly what makes Afro so great. We saw a little bit of that in that recap of that Baron play where he was able to communicate calmly to his team exactly what was going to happen and exactly how to react.
Yeah, and also, his mechanics look really good.
Yeah, he's not
Because that's what I was going to say. You talk about that criticism he faced. People last year were talking about, is this the year that Alframu, you know, kind of moves out of League of Legends? That's where the way the conversations seem to be trending, and he's come back and shut that down.
Even though he has said the move away from CLG was one of the hardest things he's ever done in his life, sometimes that change of scenery can really remotivate you to find your second calling, so to speak. And for Alframu's sake, hopefully that's the case. He definitely feels like he's remotivated.
Those are the top 5 players in each of their positions this week. As we wrap up the weekend, let's see how the teams stack up. Up top, we've got 100 Thieves, Cloud9, EchoFox, and Team Liquid at 2-0, while Clutch Gaming and FlyQuest share 5th, and the rest of the teams in the league have to look for a win in week 2. I mean, Jat, you've kind of hit it. We expected the endemic names, those big org titles, to all be resting at the top of the standings, and that's not how week 1 shook out.
No, really not. I mean, huge disappointment for TSM. I'm very disappointing in COG as well, even though I think their schedule was also pretty tough. But that's how it happens, right? We're back to best of 1. Call your mind back to 2 years ago.
Right.
This kind of stuff did happen fairly often, but still a very exciting first week.
All right, well, throughout the weekend, fans tweeted some jaw-dropping moments, and we've decided to pull a couple for our LCS Big Plays, brought to you by Acer Predator. First up, Amazing Tacos called out Ole's slick Taric stun in his opening game versus TSM.
As the chase continues, they're all going to turn invulnerable thanks to Ole's ulti. The chase is on Mithy at 200 HP, maybe a little bit more. The flash to double stun! Huge plays out of the bot lane, 4 kills to Liquid!
You can just literally just jump on him, okay?
Yeah. Think so?
Well, yeah. I'm here.
I'm looking.
Yep.
Oh,
nice.
we can. You can catch?
Yeah,
let's go. Nice.
It's load.
Hey, I'm gonna TP in, let's go. Let's go. I'm very close. I'm diving. Yeah, I can flash ulti alley.
No. I got him. I'm gonna go.
Ryze push mid. I got it, nice.
Overall, an amazing play, and especially when you start hearing the voice comms of how much information was being talked about all over the place. Smithy is actually the one who tells Doublelift to go aggressive. Ole starts following up. Pobelter's like, I can teleport in, and then I can flash forward, and then Ole's like, no, I got this. You save your flash. And they're all communicating perfectly.
Really good communication for week 1 with 5 new players. The boot camp they did in Korea before the new year paying off right there.
All right, next up, Tungsten Pony pointed out another play from the Team Liquid support. This time, the lengths he'll go to save a teammate.
Really going to be bad if he goes down. He's been having a free game up top. Dark passage to the light as Impact flashes to safety. The shield comes in now from the Locket, and they are going to be getting him all the way home.
Look at the escape here with Ole coming in, trying to flash to avoid Zig's knockup, and Impact barely escapes.
Yeah, Thresh.
Why don't my supports do that for me in solo queue?
You're not
Blow
good.
You're not Impact. It's probably the answer.
not worth it.
Fair enough. I mean, my LCS big play is those two Twitter names. We got Amazing Tacos and Tungsten Pony. I don't think we're going to beat
done.
that the rest of the the split. We might as well call it quits here. Make sure you keep tweeting your LCS big plays to the hashtag NALCS all season long, and we'll make sure we get someone who's not Ole next time around. Now, though, it's time for NALCS Tonight, where Freak, Kobe, and Isaiah will break down the first week of the split, but that's going to do it for the three of us. So we'll see you back here next Saturday, 1:30. Good night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to NALCS